What do you think is the most beneficial part of teletherapy services?
I think the most beneficial part is just ensuring that kids are receiving high quality services, period, regardless of where they live. We are probably going into the third decade now of chronic shortages of SLPs, school psychologists, occupational therapists in school based settings. And, that has not really gotten any better. If anything, there's a bigger and growing gap between the needs of students and the number of people who are qualified to provide the support that they need. And so teletherapy allows us basically to manage the pool of qualified clinicians and so that kids can access those services. So, it really is for me about access and equity of services. If it's regardless of whether a student lives in a suburban area, a metropolitan area, or off in a very rural area that's 300 miles from the closest urban setting, they still have the same supports. They are still covered under IDEA. So if they
Right.
qualify for services, they have a right to those services, and parents have the right their kids to get those services. But of course, schools are in a bind when they don't physically have the therapists living in all of these areas to meet those needs, to actually meet the requirements of these IEPs that have been developed. And we want to make sure that kids are getting the services based on what has been deemed appropriate for them, what has been, through testing, through evaluation, through observation, what professionals and educators see as the supports they need in order to access general education services. That's what these services are intended to do, is to support those kids. And the type and the level of support and services they receive shouldn't be dependent on where they live. It should be, dependent on whether they have qualified for those services or not. And then the teletherapy is a way for schools to bring qualified therapists to the students regardless of location.